Daytona Everett. We are going to step away from that Pentagon briefing to go back into some coronavirus news. We've been talking a lot about schools, but this is a different kind of topic. Washington State high school students set to graduate this year or next could stay in school for a bridge year to catch up on learning and other missed activities. We know that has been the case for so many students. That's all thanks to a measure that passed the Washington Senate. Fox 13's Hannah Kim has the details now. Hannah, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, so Daytona, the concept of an extra year of high school is definitely a conversation starter. We have parents on social media saying they support it, others saying absolutely not. We also talked to a high school teenager who say he's very intrigued about the idea.
If there was a way that seniors in high school could make 2020 disappear from their transcripts, like it never happened.
It's just weird. It's weird.
But the possibility of a do-over at fifth year of high school is catching the seniors' attention.
This is interesting. Let's hear it out at least.
Senate Bill 5265 wants to give juniors and seniors the option to do an extra year of high school.
Currently, if you do that, your old grade also shows on the permanent record. So this would be a clean slate for somebody who ran into trouble for whatever reason.
For senior Jake Trost, like so many student athletes, the lack of playing time on the field is a concern. So another year to play sports and be scouted is an intriguing idea to Jake.
I think it's a good option overall just to have it. Like, I don't know how logistically it'll work, but I think the idea of it is a good idea.
Senator Hunt says if his measure passes, he wants to leave the details of implementation up to each school district and the WIAA when it comes to student athletes.
Does this have the bipartisan support to go far, though? Because as you know, a lot of bills just get talked about but really go nowhere.
Passed the Senate yesterday, and we had bipartisan support. I got this idea from the state of New Jersey. New Jersey passed a similar law.
How much is this going to cost potentially?
I don't know what it will cost. That's really undetermined. If we knew how many kids were not going to graduate, and I think that's totally up in the air.
As the bill moves to the House for consideration, Hunt says the main motivation for an extra year is not just about academics.
The nexus of it is really high school activities, just trying to give a more normal experience to high school students so they can get the enjoyment that they deserve out of their high school year.
Although Jake is paying attention, there will be no fifth year of high school for him. He got into Whitworth University to play football next year. He's taking that opportunity and running with it.
So Senator Hunt there, who is behind that measure, says that he expects a bill to come up for a vote sometime in April. Daytona?
Hannah, I find this all so interesting. I mean, that's a pretty tight deadline. If the vote comes down in April, you have all of these seniors who are trying to figure out what they're going to do if they're going into college. They've already been through so much. So what are students saying about that? I mean, they're going to have to make a decision whether or not this passes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you just heard from that teenager in my story. He says that his decision was already made. A lot of his friends who play football going to do another year of high school. But I think this measure could be helpful for those who are really struggling right now, who are going to be failing some grades and they don't know where to turn to. So this might be an option for those students.
And logistically, I'm also thinking about going forward. Say it does pass and a lot of these students get to stay back for a year. What does that mean for class sizes for these school districts? I mean, is that graduating senior class now going to be a lot bigger? How is that going to be for educators who already have a lot on their hands, clearly?
Yeah, Daytona, that's a really good question because that's exactly what we were trying to get those details from that senator, but he says that right now everything is really open-ended because they don't know how many kids are going to stay back, how many kids are going to graduate. They also don't know how much this is going to cost. So all of those things are still up in the air, but still, Senator Hunt says he believes that it's worth pushing this measure anyway because he wants to give that option on the table for those students who need it. So a lot of questions still unanswered.
I know, and I'm sure y'all are trying to figure it out too. And I read that private schools can be a part of this too, so this isn't just for public schools, right?
Well, I mean, he was talking mostly about public schools, but yeah, private schools are operating on different rules right now in this state and in many other states right now. So they can really have the power to do what they want to do. And I know this is kind of on a sidebar topic here, but here in private schools, the enrollment is huge here because so many parents have pulled their kids out of public school and sent them to private school for that reason, because they're really hungry for some.
So, Hannah, I'm curious, does that mean these private schools, they can move forward with something like this regardless, even if it doesn't get passed through?
A good question. I think that private schools are definitely on a different rule book here. They don't have to go by what a lot of the state legislature has to say or what the public school system has to say. That they're looking into. This is more of a public school issue at this point in time.
Okay, really good to know. Thank you so much, Hannah Kim, out there in Washington, covering all of the latest news on schools. It's changing state by state, city by city, school by school, so it's hard to follow. We appreciate you following all of it for us.
For sure.
And moving forward here, we're going to stay with